After getting a closer look at Luke Fahey, Ohio State made its move to prioritize a high upside quarterback in the 2026 cycle.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. During today's show, we will discuss a player the Buckeyes are working to flip, as well as a Buckeye running back target that has set his commitment date. But first, normally when a player takes an official visit to Ohio State or any school around the country, they already have an offer. Well, last weekend, Ohio State hosted 17 players on official visits, and one of them didn't have an offer. His name was Luke Fahey, a quarterback from Mission Viejo, California, that Ohio State has been having their eye on. They have been really looking forward to getting him on campus to learn more about him and to really sell Fahey on Ohio State. Well, during that official visit, Fahey got an offer from the Buckeyes. And I think it's just one step closer to Ohio State landing a high upside quarterback in this class, because Luke Fahey, who currently stands at 6 foot even, 185 pounds, while he doesn't have the 6'3 or 6'4 height or the 230-pound frame, he does possess the ability to be a ball placement specialist. He's a very accurate passer, and he's going to fit perfectly in Ryan Day's system. And it doesn't take long to watch Luke Fahey play the football to realize this guy has the goods. And it may be a benefit for Ohio State that he's not 6'2", or 6'3 or 6'4", because if he was just a couple inches taller, guarantee that there would be a lot of other schools out there that would have been on this kid a lot earlier, maybe a year earlier, based off his frame. You look out there and watch him play, you realize, yeah, you're not the tallest guy, more of a Drew Brees height. Of course, Drew Brees was heavier than him once Brees got to the NFL. And I would guess to say when Brees was at Purdue that he was a heavier than this kid is right now. But I say kid on purpose because he's still in high school. So it wouldn't shock me if he got a couple inches taller before he started playing college football, or if he gained 5 to 10 more pounds before stepping on a college campus. But this is what Ryan Day wants. We've talked about a lot this offseason. Something that is a little bit different from Ryan Day, where Ryan Day is being slow and methodical when doing everything. With the portal, he was slow and methodical. With hiring Matt Patricia, he was slow. He's not going at anybody else's pace but his own. And it's the same thing when finding a quarterback. It's not every year that Ohio State gets through official visit weekends in June and they don't have a quarterback committed in that class that they're trying to fill. That's not normal. But it fits what Ryan Day is currently doing, where he is trying to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed and everything is exactly the way that it needs to be. And if it takes a little bit longer to get there, he's comfortable with that. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the trend moving forward, because the Buckeyes already have one QB in the 27 cycle. Wouldn't shock me if the Buckeyes took 2 QBs in that class. They've already trying to get in on a quarterback in the 28 cycle. So sometimes you try to get in on guys early. Sometimes you realize, I don't know where we're going to go, so we're going to go at this thing at our own pace. But going at their own pace has helped Ohio State heavily pursue and prioritize a guy that's also being recruited by Stanford and Indiana. Now, when you hear Ohio State's going after a quarterback from California, and you hear the other two schools that are in the running for this quarterback are Stanford and Indiana, you may say, Jay, it's a done deal. Well, it should be, because a guy like this shouldn't go to Stanford. No, he should if he wants to stay closer to home. But if he wants to be developed at an elite level, go to Ohio State. I mean, that's almost a no-brainer to me, that if you want to be developed, if you want to have the best chance for yourself to go to the National Football League, to be a high-round pick, where would you want to go between these three schools? Stanford, Indiana, or Ohio State? It's easily the Ohio State University. And I'm not here to knock Stanford or Indiana. Those are really good schools. You can get a great education. Indiana's a team that's really one that people are wondering, will they have back-to-back really good years, double-digit wins? It's possible. I am not sure, but I know this about Indiana. You're not going to get developed at IU like you will be at Ohio State. Sorry, I know if there's a Hoosier that's listening to the show or watching it right now, you may be saying, Jay, you're crazy. No, it's the reality. You saw what Curt Cignetti did a year ago with Curtis Rourke. It wasn't anywhere close to what Ryan Day did with Will Howard a year ago. Both guys are transfers. Both guys had 1 year at that school, and Howard and Rourke. Who had the better year? Will Howard. There's no debate about that. You got to give a lot of credit to that to Ryan Day. Also, credit to Curt Cignetti for what he did with Curtis Rourke. But ain't no way you can even say that Rourke was on the same level of being a player or a leader or a competitor as Will Howard. When it comes to this young man and Luke Fahey, I think Indiana, while they are one of the three front runners or three schools in the mix right now, I think Indiana's leaning towards going somewhere else, or maybe that Ohio State is the place that Fehee is leaning towards going, because IU just took a commitment from a 3-star quarterback in Cash Herrera on Monday. And so if you're saying, Jay, well, it's 2 Big Ten schools, one's on the come up, still not on Ohio State's level, but they're on the come up, that might be where he wants to go. That's possible. But they just took a commitment from a 3-star quarterback in Mr. Herrera, which makes me think that Luke Fahey getting an OV to Ohio State, that's huge. As I say this right now, it pops into my head. It's odd that a kid gets an official visit without having an offer, but it's even odder that the offer didn't come at the beginning of the visit. It came at the end, but it's when both parties were able and ready to move forward together. Because I don't think Ryan Day extends that offer if Fahey was saying, yeah, thank you for the visit, thank you for the trip, but I want to go somewhere else and play football. I don't think Ryan Day does that. And so for Fahey to be a guy like this now, you go from California to Ohio State. You see how Ryan Day has worked with different quarterbacks throughout his time at Ohio State. Let's just go through them really quickly, because I don't want to gloss over what Ryan Day did when he was an assistant under Urban Meyer. 2017, JT Barrett. It was JT Barrett's best year as a passer at Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins, phenomenal 1 year as a starting quarterback. That man went smooth off. Different quarterback than JT Barrett, but both guys were better passers under Ryan Day. 2019 to 2020, Justin Fields, freakishly athletic quarterback, but he was a really good passer, strong arm, who slung the thing around under Ryan Day. CJ Stroud, probably the best pure passer that Ryan Day's ever had at QB1 since he's been in Columbus. 22, it was 21 and 22. 23, Kyle McCord, different quarterback than the other guys, has some really good things about him. He set records in the ACC this past year. Kyle McCord, really good quarterback. Yeah, had his struggles, but every quarterback does. Will Howard, his best passing season. He had a career year under Ryan Day this past year. And Ryan Day's worked with different guys. Freakishly athletic guys that are more projects, guys that are seasoned vets. And what do you find? Ryan Day finds a way to tap into their best and to pull the best out of them so they can rise to the occasion, make big boy plays in big boy moments. And if I'm Luke Fahey, I get Stanford being the school of this trio that's in your home state. I get Indiana, the new kid on the block, kind of. They're not really the new kid, because the new kid on the block, I mean, they are, but they haven't done it consistently yet. The one thing among all these three schools is that Ohio State under Ryan Day can work with any quarterback and make them really, really good. And if you want to be developed, you go to Ohio State. You don't go to Stanford, and you definitely don't go to Bloomington, Indiana. One thing you want to do if you're Ohio State while you're pursuing Luke Fahey is make sure you heavily pursue a 5-star running back that just set a date for him to announce where he's going to play college football. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. I love what I got, what you get from Luke Fahey, the quarterback. Very accurate this past year. He threw a 76% completion percentage, threw for 1,600 passing yards, 17 TDs, 0 INTs. Also added in 3 rushing touchdowns over there at Mission Viejo High School. Fahey's a really good quarterback, a ball placement specialist at the high school level, and I believe that will translate to the next level as well. One thing I do believe will translate to the next level is something that you get from 5-star running back Derrick Cooper, who just announced that his commitment date is going to be on July 12th. And this young man, just like Luke Fahey, just took an official visit to Ohio State, and Ohio State is battling with some of the biggest schools in the country to land this talented running back in Alabama, Georgia, Miami, Florida State, and Texas. And here's one of the things I like about Derrick Cooper, at least with the commitment before diving into him, the player and what he adds to the table, is that Ohio State could easily bring in 2 running backs this cycle. They already have a running back committed in 4-star running back Favor Aki, who recently committed to the Buckeyes. And if you're able to land Derrick Cooper as well, while you're trying to fend off the 2 schools that are thought to be the biggest threats to Ohio State in Miami and Georgia, if Ohio State can land this guy, oh my goodness, y'all better watch out, because that's going to be a game-changing commitment. I mean, you could get some game-changing commitments. I mean, Luke Fahey being a quarterback, if he commits in the next few weeks, that's a game changer. He's a really good passer. I think he will excel under Ryan Day and Brian Hartline and what they're going to do with the quarterbacks moving forward. I think he's going to come in and compete with Tavius St. Clair for a simple spot in the depth chart. So Luke Fahey checks a lot of boxes. Derrick Cooper checks all of them. I mean, my goodness, man. Watch this cat play. I'm going to replay something I did when I watched the film of him here in a second. But this young man from Chaminade Madonna, the same high school that Jeremiah Smith went to, sitting at 6'1", 205 pounds. The crystal ball prediction via 24/7 Sports says that he is predicted to go to Miami. Now, that's only at a medium grade at about a 5. Normally, when the crystal ball prediction is there, it's about a 6 or a 7, and there are multiple analysts, recruiting analysts, that have made that prediction. Only one prediction has been made so far. So it could happen. It might happen. We all know last week it was Luke Wafel, who the Buckeyes and the Trojans were going back and forth. Ultimately, it was USC that put that big old bid in there and said, hey, we got this, got a couple mil for you, at least a couple mil to come play here for a couple years. What do you say? And Luke Wafel said, yeah, I like what you're throwing my way. I'm going to go play for you. Is it possible that Miami, while they are currently in a lawsuit with Wisconsin, that Miami might try to pay Derrick Cooper to go down there to play? That is possible. Even though that the rules are saying that should happen, and everybody has a salary cap with the revenue sharing they can provide the athletes inside their athletic departments. Do you truly want to allow a player that hasn't played for you, hadn't even put the school's jersey on yet for a game day, to be able to get some type of revenue sharing right away? I don't think so. The old school collectives, I mean, there are going to be some schools that do them, but all those deals that are over $600 have to be approved via the NIL Go. So I understand the old way of doing things, and I am also realizing the bag man ain't going nowhere, especially when you are a school of a certain brand that is used to doing some things to get players to come to school. I'm not saying no names. I was really close. I was really close to slipping up. One thing I used to do all the time in a show that I hosted this year covering the Kokomo Bobcats was try to get the head coach to slip up and say something he probably shouldn't say. Not saying it's going to be bad or anything like that, but simply, I want to push your buttons. I want to get you to say something that you didn't think you were going to say. Sometimes it may be about I'm not trying to push you about officiating or certain things, but I want to push your buttons and I want to see how far I can go before you do something. And I know Miami right now, they're trying to push the buttons to see how far they can go to land Derrick Cooper. But one thing we have seen from Ohio State, even before Lachlan came to the Buckeyes, is that Ohio State was willing to bring in 2 running backs in a class. Think back to let's look at this current year. No, go back a few years ago when Tony Alford was still at Ohio State. Evan Pryor and Trevion Henderson came into Ohio State together to do what? Share the load. That was it. You come to Ohio State to share the load, not have all the wear and tear on your body if you are the lead back or the lone back there in the offense. And what happened? Evan Pryor tore his ACL and then transferred. I mean, I'm not mad about him for transferring. I hate that he tore his ACL. I think he stayed a year. I think he stayed that year and then stayed the next year, then left after that. My timeline might be off, but the thought process for those 2 guys was, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to split time, going to split touches, and allow ourselves to stay fresher for when we enter our names into the NFL draft. That could be the same thing for these 2 guys here in Derrick Cooper and Fehee Aki. If both guys decide to stay with the Buckeyes, Aki signed as well. He's already committed, verbally committed. And let's just say Derrick Cooper verbally commits as well. If that happens, I'd be happy. But there's a distinct difference between Fehee Aki on the football field and Derrick Cooper on the football field. Because when I was watching this young man play, trying to prepare for this show and make sure that I use my eyeballs to analyze the football so you can get the best thing right here on Locked On Buckeyes, turn on the film. I literally, out of my mouth, said, oh my. I mean, that's no joke. Homie's explosiveness, once he got the ball, even in the backfield, baby, that jumped off the screen. And I'm thinking, I've seen a lot of explosive guys. Fehee Aki has some explosiveness to him as well, but my goodness, it was like Derrick Cooper was shot out of a cannon, and not only was he shot out of a cannon, but there was control, there was pace, there was vision, there was great footwork, there was the ability to be north and south, not east and west. I mean, my goodness, I know the 5-star tag next to his name, but jeez. Oh, I literally said, oh my. I'm not joking, man, but I'm thinking about what Derrick Cooper could be at Ohio State with Carlos Hawkins pushing him and helping him be better. And you already know he has the ideal frame. He's coming in already when he gets to college. Not saying it's going to be Ohio State, wherever he goes, to be able to contribute early. Maybe be a backup in year 1. But if he has to wait his turn, there's nothing wrong with that either. Derrick Cooper has set his commitment date, and I'm excited about it. I get excited about a lot of guys that we talk about here on the show. The Luke Fahey thing, I know one service had it as a 3-star prospect, but he's a 4-star prospect. The 24/7 Sports composite ranking, he's also the 23rd ranked quarterback in their composite rankings as well. I don't know how, because when I see him play, he ain't number 23 in my book. No. That young man has a big old arm, and this young man and Derrick Cooper has a lot of speed. He has a kind of speed that when you watch him play, like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from? Well, it may have come from him being a state qualifier as a sophomore in the 100, 200, and the long jump on the track and field. So that stuff translates. He participated in the Under Armour All-American game. So it's not just the stuff that you see on the football field. He's also being recognized by Under Armour to play in a very prestigious All-American game. It's just no fluke. Derrick Cooper can come in. To me, he's a total package as a running back. And I don't say that lightly. While he is a total package, I think Ryan Day and Ohio State, while they need to get, I think they should have at least 5 guys verbally committed by the end of July. One of them could be Derrick Cooper. Commitment date has been set for July 12th. There's one more young man that I wanted to talk about for a brief second before moving on to the rest of the show. It's a young man that recently, was the Buckeyes' top remaining corner target, but he also just committed to Nebraska. That is Danny Odom, 6'1", 185-pound corner out of Orlando, Florida. He chose Nebraska over Ohio State and Clemson. It's one of those, you can't win them all. You can't. Clemson, Ohio State, I think those are better developers of talent, especially at DB, than Nebraska. But why did he choose the Cornhuskers? Maybe there's a path for him to get on the field a little bit quicker than others. I am not sure. But to me, if I want to be developed, why look anywhere else but Ohio State? And that might be why a young man that is currently committed to Florida is considering flipping to Ohio State. Thank you all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing we know about Ohio State is they're not done recruiting. Ryan Day's slow and methodical approach, while the Buckeyes don't have the 30 verbal commitments that the USC currently has, and I don't think USC is going to sign all 30 guys. Ohio State, at the end of the day, will probably have the higher ranked recruiting class and have a higher per player average than USC, which what does that mean? Ohio State is winning, and Ohio State is once again preparing themselves to not only be successful this year, but to be successful in years to come. And to be successful in years to come, you got to make sure that you are winning in the trenches. I mean, you win games and you lose games by doing the right thing in the trenches and by doing the wrong thing in the trenches. And there's a young man that is a pretty hefty individual, standing at 6'4", 360 pounds, who is a product of none other than Glenville High School in Cleveland, who is currently committed to Florida. But shortly before recording this show, it came out that this is via On3 that there is a new prediction that Jamir Perez will flip to Ohio State. This young man is currently committed to the Florida Gators. And as we have documented on this show 1,000 times, it'll do it 1,001 times, it's that Ohio State's defense, their base defense is a 4-2-5. Florida does run a more traditional defense for a guy like Jamir Perez for him to be head up on the nose and to get his work done. Well, it's Ohio State. The Glenville pipeline is open. One of his teammates just committed to Ohio State. It makes so much sense for Perez, who just took an official visit to Ohio State this month too. Let's not forget that. To go ahead and leave the Gators and to come to Ohio State. And here's a big reason why. I know the base defense is a 4-2-5, and that's huge. That's big. I think that is going to help Ohio State, like it did last year, be able to combat different offenses. May it be a spread offense where you want to run, or maybe just be a traditional spread offense where you want to pass, or maybe a mix of that with what the opposing offensive coordinator wants to do. A 4-2-5 can help you. But you know what else can help you? Be a little bit more versatile. Ohio State's going to have more guys on the edge that are true edge rushers, that are more of your Will Anderson Jr. outside backers, but are primarily edge defenders. What do you need for those guys to excel? A beefy dude in the middle to clog things up. And that's Jamir Perez. Now, I have seen him, going to throw it up there. I have seen him listed at 330 or 335. 24/7 Sports has him listed at 360. He's probably somewhere in the middle, but still, what does that mean? He has the size already. Now, he's 17, 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. There's a lot of growing up to do. He's still in his young phase of life and hasn't really matured and got some of that grown man muscle, that grown man strength. Of course, you ain't gonna get that in college. You can by lifting the weights, but some of the grown man stuff you just get from like living life and doing stuff and getting your hands dirty and carrying a little kid around all the time. And trust me, I know. My son has helped me gain some muscle, man, in some different areas of my body. But one thing he's also done, a little homie, has caused my shoulders to be a little sore. Now, normally my shoulders don't get sore, lifting and all that kind of stuff. But, man, I also got a big old knot on the back of my shoulder blade here because of him. But you get some of those things via wear and tear and some of that grown man strength. And Jamir Perez, being a guy that should go to Ohio State, just throwing it out there, I know the 4-2-5 might scare him, but look at the transformation of a lot of players out there that when they get to campus as a freshman, these cats might put on 15 pounds of straight muscle, or they might shed 20 lbs to get healthier. And what does that do? Get you better, get you more prepared for the upcoming season. And Perez can use that and take that and say, oh, okay, Mickey Marotti, been around for a while, get the best of the best in nutrition and the workouts, and get everything personalized for him to I be successful. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I think if it's not Matt Patricia, because maybe you got to prepare for life after Patricia, because Matt Patricia is not going to be at Ohio State for 10 years. I don't believe that at all. I think Patricia, at most, you get 3 years and he's back in the NFL, unless he falls in love with college football and being at Ohio State in a way that he turns into, is it Bud Foster? The long time D coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies that recently retired, that you get a guy that's there for 20 years and he just loves being the D coordinator. Doesn't have to be a guy that's right there at the front being the head coach, get all the eyeballs after having to answer all the questions and having to have all the pressure on you. Maybe he just wants to be a D coordinator. There's a guy locally at the biggest high school in the area that has been pretty successful. Took his team to a state finals recently, took his team to regionals recently, and was very successful at the school he was recently at. But there's a lot of pressure to be the high school basketball coach of this particular school. It's not more pressure to be the head coach at Ohio State, but there's a lot of pressure at this school to be successful. And his coach just recently resigned and is going to go be an assistant coach at a school about an hour away. And I'm thinking about the same thing with some guys that want to be longtime coordinators and not have the pressure on them anymore. I completely get it. Now, maybe it's a way to work themselves back up the ladder because they want to be a head coach again, but the best way to get back into being a head coach at that level is to be an assistant and then try to work your way back up that way. That is possible. But, man, it's hard. It is very, very hard. I hope Patricia stays. Because I think that Patricia's experience in the National Football League, even having a guy like Vince Wilfork on the team. Now, I don't think Perez is going to be Vince Wilfork. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that being able to use your experience, using a heavier guy like that and working with him and coaching him in the NFL, that could be a great recruiting pitch for Patricia and Day to talk to Perez and say, he not only has multiple Super Bowl rings, he also knows how to allow you to be the best you can be on the football field. Looking forward to some more good news and some more great things going on with Buckeye recruiting. I know a lot of us were expecting something big to happen on Monday, or maybe big to happen on Sunday evening. It's coming. It is coming. Don't think it's just going to be around here to let you just pass you by. No, it is coming. Just be patient. Be patient. Trust me, I am just like you. I ain't trying to be patient. I'm trying to come on here every single day and say, hey, yeah, boom, another one committed to the Ohio State. Oh, boom, another one. I want to come on here and do that, not just for you, but because it means that there's life. There's a sign of life. But let's remember, just because you don't see a sign of life via commitments, that doesn't mean work isn't being done. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy, Brian Smith, he's got the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.